Hey everybody, my name is Sanjeev Advani, and if you haven't been to the channel before, I am a real estate broker and I'm looking to bring you real estate property management and construction news in an easy to digest format that'll help you invest better over the long term. So today we're going to be going over how who's who of apartment brokers, financiers, and people like that have met and they've talked about what they're going to be doing moving forward. So at the National Multifamily Housing Council meeting, basically you have all of these people that are coming together, right? Brokers, bankers, all of that. And so they're starting to discuss, well, how do we fix these issues with multifamily and what are the solutions moving forward? So one of the first big problems that they ran into was financing. So when the interest rates went up on everybody else, they also went up for these commercial properties as well, commercial multifamily as well. And so that what that does is when commercial multifamily is essentially an investment class, you are looking for returns. There has to be some kind of give and take that's concerned when you are looking at your borrowing, right? So when we were back at 3%, that obviously had a much lower hurdle rate to get into a property than now when you're looking at much higher than that. So essentially, that's one of the big problems that everybody is running into right now is the cost of capital, right? The cost to acquire that property and then hold on to that property. So what that does is that means that your cap rates then have to go up to offset the increase in that borrowing capital, which means that there's going to be a loss in value of the property because the cap rate then has to go up. So one of the other items that they ran into was that the insurance costs keep going up. So you have really high insurance costs because of here in California, the fires, then you have floods, you have hail, different things like that that are happening all around the country. And one of the operators essentially says that some of his insurance costs have gone up not only 5%, 10%, but multiple hundreds of percent, right? 200%, 300%, 400%. And again, that's the same thing. So you're looking at the bottom line when you're investing in these large commercial multifamily properties. And at the bottom line, you're having to put in that insurance expense. And that insurance expense essentially is just eating away at the bottom line. So any increase there is a decrease to the bottom line. And therefore, now you have a lower net income, which obviously is going to bring the property value down as well. So you're starting to see that these things are getting chipped away and erased as far as property values are concerned. And so that kind of worries people, especially when you're looking at how do we get appreciation from these properties and then how do we keep property values high? Because when you do have the increase in cost of lending and you have the increase in the cost of insurance, both of those are affecting your NOI, which is essentially affecting your property value. Well, it is affecting your property value. And so, because of that, then obviously the deal flow starts to slow down. And because the deal flow starts to slow down, then you have problems with, again, affordability, right? And so, affordability also is a problem because we had that huge run up from COVID, right? Where you have about 20% rent increases. And historically, you run at a couple percent rent increase per year. So, that essentially is now causing a problem where apartments are being less affordable for people, but there's not enough deal flow to keep people going as far as bringing new units online and making sure that the units that are there are currently available in a capacity that people can rent them in. On top of that, now you're starting to see the build to rent model, and because of the build to rent model, there can be a little bit more room in that cash flow, but you're starting to see operators who are historically just going to be property managers now want to step into the construction realm. And because of that, obviously, you're going to have issues and overruns and things like that. So these all run in together, right? So if you want more affordability, it's either you have to decrease the demand or you have to increase the supply, right? So if you decrease the demand, well, how do we decrease the demand for rental properties, especially with the way that things are right now? Most people want to rent a property because they don't want the headache of having to take care of a property, right? And so that will obviously try to keep the demand lower on the purchase side than on the rent side, right? And that's not really what we're worried about. Obviously, it is because still things are unaffordable on that side, but specifically in this article, looking at the rent side. And then as far as supply is concerned, so in order to get more supply, even those people who are renting out those properties or those units right now, that's supply that's on the market. But then in order to increase that supply, we need to either take properties which are not currently producing and have them produce, or we need to make new properties. And in order to do either one of those, the cost of capital becomes very high. And because of the increase in interest rates, it's gotten even higher, which is deterring people from actually going that direction. So then you have this build to rent model, because now you have these huge multifamily funds essentially that are looking at properties and saying, well, I can't go in and buy this property and still make the same cash flow and still get my investors that return because there is no room there. So in order to make things happen, they're going to have to start to going to that build to rent, because now you can buy essentially that same property, which is going to be a brand new property, at either at the same cost or below the cost that you would have bought the already standing property, which means that your returns then can increase. So just a little bit of looking at strategy of the market and multifamily and how that all works. I hope this brought you value. If it did, please hit that like, subscribe. If it didn't, hit me with a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And we'd love to bring you more actionable content moving forward. So any kind of feedback is great feedback for us. We appreciate it. Thank you. See you on the next one.